Call to order the regular meeting of the Bangor School Committee. It is Thursday, November 14th. Can everyone please rise for the pledge? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
We do have one adjustment, and that is D2D resignations.
Thank you.
Make a motion to amend the, or accept that.
I'll second it.
We get a vote on.
7-0.
Next up, we have public comment. As a reminder, members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on school and education matters. Public comment shall be directed to the school committee and be brief and non-repetitive. The school committee's practice is not to respond or debate with speakers during the public comment period. We are here to listen. The superintendent or her staff will follow up on comments outside of the meeting as appropriate. The committee will not permit profanity or shouting and request that speakers be civil. Discussions on specific personnel or student matters and complaints concerning specific employees or students will not be allowed, but will be addressed through the established policies and procedures. For speaking, we encourage speakers to review school policy AC, which provides that the committee does not and will not discriminate nor tolerate discrimination against students or employees on the basis of membership in a protected class. Speakers who share comments to the contrary of this policy will not be allowed to continue. Before starting, please state your name and your place of residence. Do we have any public comment? No? Okay. Next up, we have superintendent's proposals and updates. First, we have action items. And our first action item is the second reading of the comprehensive emergency management plan.
I'm recommending that the required annual approval of the comprehensive emergency management plan, which is included in the public in the portion, be approved.
Can I get a motion? So moved. Second. All in favor? 7-0. Thank you. Next up, we have informational items, and the first is the superintendent's update.
I'd like to update everyone with a few different things. For the schools and with our communication, we continue to receive positive feedback from families regarding our newsletters. We are planning on releasing the communique in the coming month, which has been was on hold for the past year or so, but is a magazine that comes out with a lot of information about the school department. In terms of safety, I would like to extend gratitude and thanks to the BHS staff and the Bangor Police Department for their swift response to the swatting hoax that we had last week. Handled very well. At the high school, I was able to attend the Spanish celebration of the Day of the Dead celebration back on November 4th. I felt as though this was a really an excellent example of high quality learning. Students were engaged, they were communicating in Spanish and English and had created their own display of a person that they chose to honor. I was also able to attend the National Honor Society ceremony on November 6th. The new students were inducted into the National Honor Society, and this is based on the 4 pillars of scholarship, character, leadership, and service. So a huge congratulations to all of those students. There were 38 students inducted in the either a junior or seniors. In terms of the district, we are currently working with the auditors to wrap up our fiscal year 24 audit. Thanks to Jerry and his team for a lot of hard work around this process. I do have a staff survey that is currently out. That was opened last week, and it's going to be open until December 15th. So all staff, department have the opportunity to give feedback around what they feel is going really well, we should keep doing here. What should we stop doing and what should we consider changing? So further details around the results from that survey will come following the closing of it. This morning, I had my first meeting with a student advisory group at 7:30, and it went really well. We had some great discussions and more to come on the student, the cell phone that did come up, and they're doing some mining of data with the high school population, and we'll be meeting monthly, so I'll have more to follow up with that. I had a meeting with the food corps representative, Ryan Parker. There is interest in piloting the program, and the school committee will have the opportunity to see a presentation from food corps on December 11th. And in terms of region and state, a celebration that the UTC equipment bond was approved by the voters. So that is really wonderful news, and will allow for new equipment and upgrades that are going to serve our students very well.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have the McKinney-Vento quarterly update.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Kathy Stankard. I am the principal of 14th Street School, and I'm also the McKinney-Vento liaison for the Bangor School Department. And it's that hat I'm wearing as I speak to you tonight. I forgot I'm in control of this. Okay, so the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act is named for the chief sponsors of a federal law that was passed in 1987, Stuart McKinney and Bruce Vento. I looked that up today because I realized that I am constantly being asked, McKinney-Vento, like what? And so I actually looked it up. So Stuart McKinney, Bruce Vento, chief sponsors of this Homeless Assistance Act, which has been reauthorized multiple times, most recently in 2015. And what it does is it directs the assistance that we provide to our students pre-K through 12 who are identified as homeless. The definition of homelessness is whether you lack fixed, regular, or adequate nighttime residence. Fixed means one location. So if you're staying in a different location every night, you're homeless. And that's also actually fixed refers to the one location, and regular to whether you're there every night. And then adequate, they have a very specific. That's a place that lacks water, electricity, or heat, is infested with vermin or mold, lacks a working kitchen or toilet, or presents unreasonable dangers to the people who are staying there. So any of our students who are couch surfing, staying in motels, spending the night in a car or a tent are by definition considered homeless and entitled to certain rights. I'm guessing you're all familiar with these rights, but I'll just briefly mention a couple of things about each of these. So immediate school enrollment, this is going to include our unaccompanied homeless youth, which is defined as a student who is not in the physical custody of a parent or guardian, and who also meets that fixed, regular, adequate criteria. Best interest I'll talk about in a later slide. The transportation, I just want to mention in terms of that, we provide the transportation, and typically if the sending district and receiving district are not the same, then those costs will be split 50-50. And then support for academic success is broadly defined. Typically toiletries, educational supplies, et cetera, would fall into that. So they are guaranteed all of those rights. And then this Homeless Assistance Act ensures funding for these, to ensure these rights. And I'll talk more about that later too. Okay, so in terms of how we implement, First, we need to identify our students who are homeless. So I'm sure you've all seen the McKinney-Vento screener that is in the registration packets. So that's an important way that, that we identify students. The screener is completed by the parent, signed by a couple of people within the school, and then forwarded to the McKinney-Vento liaison, me, and then I make the determination as to whether the student is in fact homeless. We also, our social workers have hung posters all over town with QR codes people can use, or just identifying rights. And then if people want more information, they can access that information using their cell phones. And then, you know, the people who work in our schools, they know the families, and they build relationships, they prioritize building relationships. So if family circumstances change, they will hear about it and will work with the family to complete the screener and forward that on. Okay, and then in terms of that, once a determination is made that the student is in fact homeless, and it's usually fairly straightforward because the definition is so clear. Then if the sending and receiving districts are different, then the McKinney-Vento liaisons in each district will have a conversation about where they think the student should attend. So that again is the best interest determination. And there are several factors that come into play. The most important is what the student and the parents want. But we also pay attention to the duration of transportation. Frankly, nobody thinks it's a good idea for a 1-hour commute each way. So that's going to play into our decision making. And then the ages of the students as well. It's arguably easier to transition to a new school if you're 6 than it is if you're 16. So that's something we take into consideration as well. If transportation is necessary, then we work with the respective folks in our district. And I just want to recognize Linda Poirier, who is the Pupil Services Administrative Assistant. I can see Christy Babin smiling over there because she works miracles daily to ensure students get to and from school. And then as far as the assistance goes, we used to provide meals, or vouchers, et cetera. We don't do that when we offer free breakfast, lunch to all students. But then the social workers, as I mentioned, they are the boots on the ground. So they are checking with students and parents, guardians regarding the needs. They maintain the supplies closets we have in each of the schools. They connect families with general assistance or other community agencies that may be able to assist in meeting the family's needs. So that's how we implement. And then as far as funding goes, so in that first slide, I mentioned that the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act provides for funding through that reauthorization. So specifically, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, you're familiar with Title I Part A, I'm sure. So they have a mandatory set aside. The state tells us what we're going to receive in Title I Part A funding, and then we get to decide how much we'll put into that mandatory set aside. So here in Bangor, a portion of that set aside pays the a part of my salary, the McKinney-Vento part of my salary and benefits. And then we also use some of that for transportation. As well, there's a competitive grant, the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance that we apply for every year. And we use that to pay a portion of a social worker's salary and benefits. Again, transportation and then supplies. And then the other funding source, which is connected to McKinney-Vento, that I wanted to talk about is the Prevent Student Homelessness Grant. So we're in the second year of this being offered. The idea here is that we don't want our students homeless. We want to intervene so that to prevent that. I mean, it is what the title suggests. So the money can be used to pay a family's rent, to pay their utilities if they're behind on their utilities payments, or to make critical home repairs. Anything we can do to keep the family in the home so they don't become homeless. Families are eligible for up to $750 a year per student. So if they have 2 students, they can apply for $1,500, et cetera. And that is, they apply and they submit an invoice that lists the vendor name, and then the check is cut directly to the vendor. Okay, impact. So this year, 62 students have been identified as homeless. 7 of the 62 have either secured permanent housing or moved outside our catchment area. So far enough away that we're not working with the McKinney-Vento liaison in the other district. Of the 55 students currently identified, 49 are attending Bangor schools. A lot of our students are, it's Bangor to Bangor, right? So then as far as this Prevent Student Homelessness Grant, 33 families have accessed it. That's 52 students who've been able to remain in their homes. I hate to end on a sad note, but the fact is that it is November 14th and 90% of the grant that we have been given has been expended, which speaks to the need in our community and our hope that we will receive more next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't recognize you. You get recognized by somebody else.
I just want to, first of all, thank you for the update. And just to say, yes, it's kind of sad that 90% of the money has been utilized, but I'm glad to see that it is being utilized. And that it is not money gone to waste, and that it is actually achieving the mission that it is set out to achieve. So sometimes you see these grant programs and you go, where did the money do? Was it a success? And I think that if we're keeping the students in their home, I'm not sad about it.
No,
I'm just motivated to ask for more next year.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Member Bryden?
Thank you, Chair Luciano. Thank you, Principal Sankard, for this presentation and really going through all of the elements of the McKinney-Vento Act, or Stuart and Bruce, as we'll call them now. I have that info. I have a couple of questions. Well, first of all, since we ended on the grant funding, I have 2 questions. One is that it's the 2nd year pilot. So is there a long-term plan to implement that? Pilot to me seems to indicate that that's not something that's firm, set in stone, going to happen again. Is that because it's grant funding and we don't know? Or
Yes.
is it because there's other, okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. So last year it was presented as a pilot. This year, I'm not hearing pilot quite so much, which tells me that maybe there is a long-term plan, but what that is, I don't know.
Okay, thank you. And those 6, my math correct? Yeah, the 6 students, of the 55 students that are identified, 49 are attending Bangor schools. Those 6 students that are not in the Bangor school department, I think that the Bangor School Department does an amazing job with our dropout prevention group that really works to identify students K through 12 and the support that they need. Can you clarify for those 6 students that are not attending schools, are the social workers visiting them? Like, how do we, 1, know that they're in the area, and 2, what supports are they receiving if they don't go to school?
Okay, so an example would be someone who was attending a school in another district, and then they lose their housing and they're doubled up in Bangor. But they want to continue attending in the school where they originally were, right? And so,
Got it.
so their connection is to they're just living in Bangor, and their connection is to the
Understood.
district where they used to be.
Thank you for this. They are in school. I was.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, yeah, yes. I'm
What do we do?
sorry. Yes, yes.
No, no,
yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes, no, the other 6 are in area schools, just not
Within
ours.
the catchment area. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And then I don't know if there is an answer, if you would have this answer. But for those grant funds, to prevent student homelessness. I know that everyone is obviously doing what they can, so I don't want to imply by asking what's next, what can be done more. I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, everyone is doing everything they can to determine more options for funds. But do you have an idea of what that might look like? Is it waiting for the grant cycle to start over again to bring in more funds for that? What options do we have as a
So
district?
I'll be honest, I mean, it is, and there may be other people who know the answer to this question. It was presented as something that the Maine Department of Education was offering,
Okay.
but I think that the funds may have been connected to the either COVID or just yes, I don't know where it originated. It's all being done through the Maine DOE.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying all of these pieces. Again, I really appreciate your report and these updates.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, we have October 1 enrollment.
So I'll just direct your attention to the item in your packet that lists all of the enrollment, just for your information. As a reminder, I'm sure this was discussed in previous years. But each October 1st, we are required to submit our enrollment to the DOE, and the enrollment is used to determine our subsidy. So a very important document. Again, staff worked very hard to make sure that all of this information was put in and accurate. One thing to note is that you see in the bottom left-hand corner, October of 23 to October of 24. There has been a slight decline, so it's something to pay attention to, from 3467 to 3450 for this year. So something that we've been discussing as an administrative and district team.
Can I comment on this? Madam Chair?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. On the one hand, I don't think the 17 student headcount drop in a district of over 3,400 is really that large, given some of Maine's demographics. There's slow birth rates and it's an older state, so that's not too statistically significant, but I'm glad that is on your radar, that we want that to be higher. What was slightly more concerning, or of interest to me at least, is the number of tuition students continues to go down. I think we've talked in the past about why that is, and I would love for us to lead sort of a refresh on that, to talk about the messaging we're offering, the overall pitch we do, how we can take a look at that. This is very anecdotal and we shouldn't make policy on anecdotes, but in the conversations I have with people from neighboring towns that have school choice, and one of those choices potentially being Bangor, they often have very skewed ideas of what the Bangor School Department is like, particularly the high school. They think it's just this enormous colossus beast of a school, without really appreciating that it is larger than the other schools, but every student can find their track and find their people and find their area of interest. And I'm very biased towards the Bangor schools, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here, but I think more often than not, a lot of these students from the surrounding towns would be better off in Bangor. So I think we have an affirmative responsibility to try to get those kids and their families to come to Bangor, because I think they're going to be better off here. And it's frustrating to see the number go down. I just would like us to refresh the conversation. And it's the pitch, but it's also the marketing and the brand and the messaging we're getting out there. It all ties together, because I think people have incorrect views, and it's up to us to make sure we get a better message out there.
Thank you. That's right. Member Surratt.
Yeah, I think it is an important conversation, and just a couple of things or one thing, a data point that I think would be important for this conversation, and I don't know if Superintendent Robinson has anything to say in this now, but if not, maybe after some research, I'm curious about the pool of eighth graders within the greater Bangor area as a whole that are eligible for tuition to area high schools. Is that total pool shrinking, stable, or rising? And I think that would be an important data point when we're considering tuition and the drop we're experiencing. And then the only other thing I would ask for is when we see this data, it might be nice to be able to see the percentage of tuition students as compared to the whole in terms of the 9-12 population. So seeing not just the raw numbers, but also just that percent. What is the percentage and how much is that percentage changing over time? I think would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm not sure about the pool of eighth graders, but definitely can look into that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Moving on to report of resignations.
I'm reporting the following resignations. Jeffrey Wingard, history teacher, department head at Bangor High School. And Matt Stanchfield, technology director, district-wide. Both tremendous losses to our district, will be tough shoes to fill, so. Bittersweet announcement.
Thank you. Yes, these are quite a loss. Moving on to business action items, and our first action item is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 23rd of 2024.
I'm recommending the approval of the draft minutes of the October 23rd, 2024 regular school committee meeting.
Can you get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
7-0.
Next up, we have the financial reports, and they are the July financial report.
I'm recommending approval of the July financial report.
Can you get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
7-0.
Thank you. And next we have personnel and extra duty assignments.
I'm recommending the approval of the following extra duty assignments for 2024, 2025. Corey Dion, B girls basketball coach at the William S. Cohen School. Randall Allen, 0.75 IEP coordinator, James F. Dowdy School. Chelsea Lowe, 0.5 IEP coordinator, James F. Dowdy School. Kasha Robertson, 0.25 IEP coordinator, Down East School. Kristen Shorey, 0.5 IEP coordinator at the Down East School.
And can I get a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
7-0.
And next we have donations to be read by member Brennan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, to Bangor High School from N&K Porter LLC, a cash donation to the Key Club having a total dollar value of $100. To Bangor High School from Jarvis Golf, a cash donation to the Key Club having a total dollar value of $300. To Bangor High School from Main Man Flavas, a cash donation to the Key Club having a total dollar value of $200. And to Vine Street School from Ron and Cindy Leidick of RC Management, 40 gift cards having a total dollar value of $160. With gratitude, I move to approve these generous donations.
Second.
All in favor?
7-0.
Thank you. And do we have any introduction items tonight?
We do not.
Okay. So moving on to committee updates. Do we have any comments or questions from the committee? Member Hausman.
Yeah, I'd just like to wish Matt all the best in his new position. We will miss you dearly. The same with Mr. Wingard. My kids had him and such a tremendous loss. And we do wish him all the best as well, but you two will be dearly missed.
Member Surratt.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to wish Jeff Wingard well. 22 years ago, I was a student teacher with Adam Leach in the history department, and Jeff was just starting out. And I remember he was kind to me, let me into his classroom to do some observations, and I was just always really impressed with his teaching and the way he interacted with kids and got me excited about teaching and teaching history. So best wishes.
Thank you. Member Scott?
Thank you. I just want to congratulate Chair Luciano on a very smooth first meeting. Well done. And to also thank you for stepping up to serve. I had mentioned to our former chair, thank you in the last meeting. It's actually kind of nice to have you around the table. You get your voice back a little bit, and thank you to member Surratt as well. It takes a lot of time and energy and patience and skill to all of you to lead this group. And I just want to thank the people of Bangor for allowing me another opportunity to serve in this position. This is a great group of people, and as we've all said around this table, we're very lucky to be in a pro-education community with a school committee that gets along together and can work well together. So I'm looking forward to a refresh and start of a new year. I also want to recognize Dawson Knowles, who's here tonight, and I think it really speaks to his character that he is here. And as I mentioned to him earlier, he's got a lifetime of service ahead of him to this community and lots of good opportunities. This was a name year election, I think, to a certain degree. And this is the start of my 13th year in service between the city council and school committee. And I did the math, and this averaging 2 meetings a month is my 289th meeting, not counting budget and all the other committees and stuff. And you'll get there. You'll be there someday. I hope. So keep coming to these meetings. I think actually Dawson's influence is already in these documents with like the safety plans and stuff like that. So looking forward to another good year, and spoken too long as it is, but best wishes to you for the year ahead.
Thank you, member Scott, as well. Any other comments or questions right now? So next we have committee assignments. Want to make sure we have all of the committees accounted for, because they'll just make sure I've captured everybody, but it's all right. We'll start with the Dropout Prevention Committee. And for that, we are going to have member Gendreau and member Sprague. For the Policy Committee, we will have member Surratt and member O'Carey. For negotiations, we will keep members Luciano and Sprague.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. For DEIB advisory, we have member Hausman and member Bryden. And for UTC, we currently have member Bryden, but we do need a second member. Several of our members are not available during that time of the week, so we can meet offline and figure that out, but that's it's currently, am I missing any?
Member Surratt.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Well, and I just want to mention this, and we don't have to go in this direction, but it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's my understanding that the person who represents us does not have to be a school committee member. And in fact, we have one member now, Dylan, who is serving, who is not a committee member. So just putting that out there.
Thank you. That's helpful. Very helpful reminder.
Just to piggyback on that, member Strutt, you're exactly right. I do, if there is any flexibility in your schedule, serving on the UTC board is such an incredible gift to see the amazing work being done at that school, and what a treasure it is to our community. And in any way, if our committee can step up to uplift that important work, I think not only does it speak volumes for the school, but it also speaks volumes for the other sending districts that have their representatives there. There's about 12, 13 other school districts there. And I think it would be a shame to only have one representative from Bangor when we are the largest population at UTC, to have only one serving member of the school committee, if there is an opportunity for others to step up. Like I said, not only is it just a real bucket fill, but I think it's also really important and valuable to demonstrate our commitment to the work that this school is doing as a school committee.
The UTC board appointment is actually a very fun one, if I may say. For some of them are stationary, this one is not. So just let me know if it's available. We can circle back to that. So are there any other appointments that I may have?
Not that I'm aware of.
There's no Spruce appointment anymore.
No, that was dissolved.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, member Bryden.
Is there a scholarship committee this year?
That's a good question.
We'll
find out.
And typically, Principal Butler, and I believe the superintendent is on that, and maybe one. I believe
I've
member
done that.
Sprague has been on that one, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That one,
We can-
and I also had a question about the wellness. Is that one typically one that we appoint one person to?
Wellness is not listed on here. We, the way that it works, I think the reason there's a little bit of confusion is because some are the voting member, committee, representatives. The appointments are for the voting representatives, and with DEIB, with policy, those are more advisory committees. So I think they're combined, and we still need, and appreciate the representation on all of it, but that's the difference. So the required ones are listed on the agenda. So we can circle back with scholarship.
Okay, thank you.
And then the UTC if there's another person who's interested.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So, do we need to move to approve that? No, we're. Okay, so then we're moving on to representatives reports. We don't have any drop-off prevention updates. Do we have a UTC update?
Well, Dr. Robinson stole our thunder by announcing that, I'm just kidding. No, we are very proud, as Dr. Robinson has shared, of the bond passing that will go to great equipments for UTC. So thank you for sharing that in your update. I'm very excited about
I'll
that.
check with you next time.
Yeah. I'm a whole. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We don't have any other committee updates. Student committee member updates?
I just wanted to start off by congratulating Sarah and Ben on their reelection. Bangor High School's performance of The Little Mermaid is next week, November 21st, November 22nd, and November 23rd. The 21st and the 22nd are at 7 o'clock, and the 23rd is at 2 o'clock. Tickets should be around $5 to $10 to be determined. I'll have an update next week.
Thank you.
As fall sports come to a close, informational meetings for winter sports have begun, so students listen for those meeting and tryout times on the announcements. I'm gonna pass it to Brandon.
Thank you. On November 9th, the Bangor girls varsity team beat reigning state champs Scarborough in the state final, and we would like to congratulate them for that. And this Friday, our football team is in the Northern Maine final against Portland in Portland. So show out. And that's it.
Thank you. Do we have any other reports? No? All right. So we have some informational items coming up. The next important dates we have, Monday, November 18th is the school committee retreat from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at room 217 in the Lewiston Hall at the UMA Bangor campus. Wednesday, November 20th, 2024 is the regular committee meeting of the Bangor School Committee at 7 p.m. in the Bangor Library, Bangor High School Library. Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 is the regular meeting at 7 p.m. at Bangor High School Library. And Friday, December 20th, 2024 is Bangor Day. Any other questions or comments in the committee? All right, I move to adjourn. Can I get a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Coming up.
Job.
Not bad.
I can ask for the.
Yeah, like-
Everybody else.